Hey everybody, West Coast Wanderlust coming at you from my home here in Seattle, Washington. And today I wanted to kind of do a review of my Florida trip that I just took. I'm going to be talking about some family things and Disneyland and Universal. So it's going to be a little bit different than some of my other videos, but I just wanted to talk about some of these issues. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was our actual trip here. So we left Seattle Thursday night and we had a 9:30 p.m. flight. So it was going to be a red-eye flight to Florida, and we were going to Orlando. And we got on the plane and everything was fine, and I had been up since 2 p.m. on Wednesday, so I was exhausted when we got on the plane. And we started flying, and about 45 minutes later we hit awful turbulence. I think when the pilot came on, he said that we had hit between 130 and 175 mile per hour crosswinds, so that caused the plane to bank pretty hard, and we lost quite a bit of altitude. And it was pretty much the worst turbulence that I'd ever been in my life. I just remember holding on to the seat in front of me and praying to God that we were going to make it. And I had a couple of thoughts run through my head, and one of them was I was going to be able to see my husband soon, because I thought I was going to die. So that was terrifying, but we made it to Orlando in one piece, and that's something I don't ever want to go through again. So when we got to Orlando, Steven's mother, Donna, came and picked us up before her shift at work, and she took us back to her house, where we were able to catch a couple of hours of sleep. And then she was getting off work early because they knew her family was in town, and we ended up going to Publix, which is a grocery store down in Florida. Publix has their own deli, and they make their own sub sandwiches. And so that was one of the big things that Steven wanted to do first when we got to Florida, was try Publix subs. You know, for as long as I've known Steven, he's always talked about how delicious they were, and he was super excited for me to try them. So we go to Publix and we order our sandwiches. I ended up getting a turkey on Havarti, and I got every single vegetable except for the banana peppers and the jalapenos. And I believe the boys both got roast beef sandwiches. So by the time we were done shopping and everything and we got back to the house, it was time to eat. And because I had put so many vegetables on there, plus the sub sauce, plus mayo and mustard, like, my sandwich was pretty soggy. And I ate it, but it wasn't the best thing that I'd ever eaten in my life. It was, you know, like I said, it was kind of nasty with all of the vegetables on there. So, I mean, it's a turkey sandwich, and I love turkey sandwiches, so I ate it. So the second time we had Publix was when we were going to Clearwater Beach. And this time I opted for the Publix roast beef sandwich with, I believe I got Swiss cheese, and I only did lettuce, tomato, and onion with mayo and mustard, and it was delicious. Like, the bread is very good. It has a cornmeal crust on the bottom. And the way they do it is they put mayo and mustard actually on the bread, versus like how Subway, they'll put everything on the bread first and then they'll put mayo and mustard on it. They kind of do it opposite. So the mayo and mustard kind of soak into the bread and make it kind of really delicious and chewy. And it was a very, very good sandwich. I enjoyed their roast beef so much that on our last day in Florida, that's the exact same sandwich that I got, and I was very pleased with it. So one of the main reasons why we were down in Florida was because Donna wanted to do a family Christmas. So the day after we got there, Steven's brother and his girlfriend arrived from Texas, and we did a big family dinner, and we all opened presents, and it was incredible. I don't think I've ever seen that many Christmas presents stuffed under one tree in my life. So Steven's nephews were kind of passing out the gifts, and we were all opening it, and I was shocked by how many presents that I got, because I had never met Donna before. And in fact, before we left for the trip, Steven had texted me asking, you know, what I'd like for Christmas. And being an adult, it's always kind of difficult to shop for other adults, because normally people, you know, when they need something, they just go out and buy it. So I kind of racked my brain, and I thought about, you know, the things that I wanted that I hadn't yet bought for myself. Some of those things being books by John Muir, who's one of my all-time favorite historical figures. There was a perfume that I wanted, and oddly enough, a waffle maker. So I'd kind of sent him that text, and those were the three things that I was thinking I might get one of those things, but turns out Donna ended up getting all of those things. So I got 3 John Muir books. I got my waffle maker. She bought me a blanket and a scarf and a pair of socks and a soap and body wash collection. She got my perfume, and she did something that my grandmother used to do that I absolutely adore, and it really kind of just made it feel very Christmassy. Is she went and got everybody those Lifesaver books. I don't know if anybody remembers those, but it was a little Christmas book with like 6 rolls of Lifesavers in it, and that was always something that we had in our stockings growing up. So it was brought back a lot of good memories, and it was kind of awesome. So we had a really great meal, and we had a lot of fun opening presents and just being together. And I know Donna put in a lot of work and a lot of time gathering all those presents and wrapping them. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it, and you definitely made me feel like I was part of the family. So I appreciate it very much. So something interesting happened on that first day as well, and that was we heard owls outside of the apartment. And there's this weird superstition, I don't know if it's true, but it's something that I've always held on to since I was a kid. And I don't remember who told me it or where I heard it, but I always heard that if you're beginning a journey, if you hear owls on the right side, it's good luck. But if you hear owls on the left side, you're supposed to return to your home and start your journey over. Otherwise, you're going to have bad luck and misfortune. So we were just starting our journey, and luckily we heard the owls on the right side. So I felt like that was a really good omen for our trip. We went looking for the owls, but unfortunately we were unable to find them. And we talked to a couple of the maintenance guys for the apartment complex who said they were always around, but we never saw them in the 2 weeks we were there. One of the things I didn't end up vlogging was after we left the Daytona Beach and Ponce Inlet area, we went into DeLand, Florida, and that's where Stephen and his siblings grew up in a house there. And we drove to his old neighbor's house, who was kind of like a second mother to them, and we ended up saying hello to her and her husband, and we're all outside just kind of chatting away and catching up. And we looked up in the sky, and there was a really, really bright object kind of moving toward us. And at first there was thoughts that maybe it was a plane, but I recognized what it was. And I told them it was the International Space Station, because the International Space Station is the second brightest object in the sky next to the sun. So it was drifting by overhead, and sure enough, Stephen looked on the app and he saw that it was going right overhead. So that was really cool seeing the ISS again. The first time I saw it was in Lake Cushman back in late May. So like I said, I recognized what it was, and I was happy to see it again. One of the days we were there was dedicated to spending time with Stephen's nephew, Logan. He wanted to get out and spend some time with us, so we took him to Lake Eola, which is right in the heart of Orlando. And we took a lot of pictures of the swans there, and just had a really good day. The weather wasn't great, but it wasn't raining. And, you know, we just kind of walked around a little bit and took some pictures and drove around, and it was a really good day. It was another one of those days that I didn't really vlog a whole lot, but it was just nice, you know, spending time with Logan and getting to know him. And, you know, being a photographer that's been doing it for, you know, 8 years now, it was interesting to see, you know, somebody who's just starting out, like what they focus on and what they look at, and, you know, their techniques and things like that. And seeing photography through fresh eyes was, you know, kind of a cool experience. So we dedicated 2 days to doing the theme parks. The first day was Disney World, and we arrived there at 8:30, and we parked, and we ended up going through security, and we made it to the transit center about 8:55 a.m. And we were told that the buses stopped running from the transit center to the Animal Kingdom at 9 a.m. So we're waiting there for the bus, and there's this gal that is walking around, and she's picking up the sandwich boards for the different locations. And she stops and she talks to us, and she's like, hey, I think all the buses stopped running, but I'm going to go ahead and call a bus for you, and they should be here any minute. So, just hang tight and somebody will come and get you. So we thanked her, and she continued on with her job, and we're just kind of BSing around, enjoying the morning because the weather was good and the sun was shining, and we're excited because we're at Disney World. And so we're waiting, and 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 this bus never comes. So we're like, well, I guess we got to find other transportation into the park. So we go back to the security line, and we try to go in kind of the back way, but there was a security guard stopped us. And we told him the situation, that we already had gone through security, and that there's this woman that told us, a bus was coming that never came. And he's like, I'm really sorry, there's nothing I could do. You guys have to go through security again, or you can walk over to the Polynesian and take the bus over there. And, you're going to have to go through security at the Animal Kingdom again. So we were pretty frustrated at that. We ended up walking, past the security line back to the Polynesian. We took the bus in there and had to go through the security line again. And by this time, we'd lost just about an hour of park time. And one of the first things that we wanted to do is we wanted to go over to Pandora and do the Banshee ride, because that's their newest ride. It's like the big thing right now. And we wanted to be first ones to be on it. Otherwise, the lines were going to be incredible. So, of course, by the time we got through security and everything and had lost about an hour of park time, the lines were 3 hours long. So we basically said, screw it, whatever. It'll be here next time. It's a new ride. We're not going to be able to ride everything that we want. So we did Expedition Everest, and that was incredible. I mean, I haven't been on a roller coaster as an adult. I think I misquoted myself in all of the Disney videos. I said the last time I was there was 1994, when the truth is I was there July of 1995, because I was actually at Disneyland for the 40th anniversary of Disneyland. But still, 23 years later, I'm visiting Disney World and doing my first roller coaster ride as an adult. And it was a blast. I loved Expedition Everest, and I really liked the queue line with everything that they had going on as far as the Himalayas and it being like a hiking camp. And I don't know, it just looked really, really cool. So after we did Expedition Everest, we walked around the Animal Kingdom a little bit more, and then we did the Kilimanjaro Safari. And that was really awesome, being able to see giraffes, which I can't remember the last time I was even at a zoo. So seeing, giraffe and a rhino and elephants and baby hippos and a bunch of different kinds of birds, that was really cool. And then once we were done with the safari, we decided to go check out Pandora. We just wanted to kind of see the area and the land and maybe walk a little bit of the queue line. So we go there, we see the floating mountains, which I couldn't remember the name of the mountains, but they're the Hallelujah Mountains. And they were pumping in smells into the area. They had a lot of sounds, kind of like loud crickets and things, and that was really cool. We kind of milled around there for a little bit and just checked it out, and we decided that we wanted to go to the Magic Kingdom to ride some of the rides there. So as we're leaving, we're passing guest relations, and Stephen was like, I'm just going to go talk to them and tell them that we're not happy with what happened in the morning. So he ended up talking to a lady, and she ended up giving us a few fast passes to the ride. So we walked all the way back to Pandora, and we did the Banshee ride, and that was really cool. The only thing I didn't like was the queue line. They herd you into this room with 16 people, and it's kind of like this weird narrative where they're trying to match you to your own avatar. And so they have a camera on you that you can see yourself on screen, and they're having you do all this moving around and stuff. And it was really long and kind of boring. But then once you're actually on the ride, it's really cool. So you're supposed to be on your own Ikran or Banshee. And they have it set up to where you can almost feel the animal breathing under you. And it's a VR ride, so they have it so where you're pointed down. It looks like you're going to go through the forest, and they're pumping in smells. So there's one point where there's a stampede through the forest, and you can smell fresh dirt and cut grass. And That was really cool. And then you kind of go out over the ocean and you smell salt water and you go through a wave and they splash you with water. And so it was really immersive and it was awesome, and I can understand why there's a 3-hour wait. So I'm really glad that we were able to do that ride. Once we were done doing that ride, we ended up doing the Pandora River experience. And that was just kind of like, Pirates of the Caribbean type of experience. You're in a boat, you're going through the river, there's animatronics, which apparently there's the world's most expensive and technically advanced animatronic there. It cost like a few $1,000,000. And I swear to God, I saw it for just a couple of seconds. The rest of them were video projections. But it was really cool. It looked pretty. Everything was almost looked like bioluminescence and glowing in the dark. And they had the music coming in. And it was really cool. So I'll be curious to see what they do with that area when the other movies start coming out. So then we go over to the Magic Kingdom and we get a bite to eat. We got some barbecue sandwiches, which had barbecue pork and some coleslaw with a bag of chips and a Coke. And I think I paid, I don't know, $12, $13 for that. But I was starving and needed to eat something, so that's what we had. And then we did a couple of the classic rides. We did Pirates of the Caribbean. We did the Haunted Mansion. And then we did Thunder Mountain. I wanted to do Splash Mountain, but it was closed, and I thought it opened up for a little bit there and then reclosed, so I don't know what was going on with that, but I was kind of bummed out I wasn't able to do Splash Mountain. After Thunder Mountain, we rode the teacups, and we did the People Mover before we ended up going over to Epcot. When we were trying to go to Epcot, we were going to take the monorail, but there was an issue to where the monorail was down, so we had to take the steamboat ferry across, which was really pretty because the sun was setting. So, I'm not complaining. It was beautiful on the water there. And then when we got to Epcot, the sun had set, and we did a little bit of walking around there. We saw the geodesic sphere, and then the first thing we ended up doing was doing Spaceship Earth, and then we did Soaring Over America. After that, we only did a couple of other things. We did, I think it was just Drew and I, we did Living Off the Land. That's like a little boat tour through the building where they have the hydroponic garden and everything. We tried the different Coke flavors. And then we decided to go home because my feet were killing me. The shoes that I had bought were the correct size and length, but they were a set that was wide. So instead of just a 7, I was wearing a 7W, and my feet were wiggling enough to give me the worst blisters I've ever had in my entire life. So I could feel the bubbles kind of developing at the base of my toes, and my feet were just on fire. So we ended up going back to the transit center to take the tram back to the car. So the tram was one of those things where they didn't have an employee overseeing how it was being run. It was kind of a free-for-all. So I can't remember how many rows are on each tram, like 6 or 8, and each row holds 5 people. So they have these rails hooked up to where you're waiting in line to get onto your specific row. And, when they came, people were just bum rushing the tram. So more than 5 people per row were going, and then when they couldn't get on, they would just back up and get into whoever's line they wanted to get on first the next time. And so Steve and Drew and I ended up kind of getting split up, and that was really frustrating. And so they went off ahead, and I was left waiting for the next tram. So I was kind of grumpy by the time I got back to the car. And then I was hungry too because we'd been there all day. We pretty much closed the park down. And we still had a lot of things that we needed to do. Once we got home, we needed to take our showers. We needed to pack up our suitcase. And then Steven's sister was going to drive us back to his mother's house. We were going to spend the night there and then go to Universal in the morning. And I just wanted to eat and I wanted to go to sleep. I didn't want to have to work and do all of that stuff because my feet were I was just in a lot of pain. So we ended up contacting Steven's mother, and she was able to get a ride in to work with someone else. We were able to stay at Jenny and Will's house again, which was awesome. So we go to the Walmart that was around the corner, and we get stuff, and I make haystacks, and I'm just pigging out. I stuff my face, take a shower, do my little vlog real quick, and then I hit the sack because I was just so tired and just wanted the day to be done with. The next morning I woke up and my feet were still really bad. The blisters looked like I was trying to grow a pinky between my toes. So it'd be like this. I had blisters like this where my toes were here and the meaty part of my foot was here. And I just had blisters all across here in like a big row. So I put some blister packs on, put my comfortable shoes on, and we went off to Universal. And one of the things that I did right away is I rented a wheelchair, or as I jokingly was calling it, an adult stroller. So that made the day 100% better for me. I feel awful that Drew and Steven had to push me around the park all day, but it actually kind of turned out to be a little bit of a benefit. Since we were forced to take the elevator in some queue lines, we were able to cut quite a bit. So, I mean, that worked out. And always at the end of the ride, they'd have the wheelchair ready for me to go, once I got off of the ride. So, all in all, it wasn't a bad experience. It was kind of strange, getting looks from people because they don't know what's wrong with you. And then being at crotch and butt level to everybody, that's pretty awkward. But, I'm glad that that was an option for me, because if I had to walk, it would have been really, really difficult, and I don't think we would have had a good time. I know I wouldn't have had a good time, and we probably wouldn't have been able to do half of the rides that we were able to do. So if you know me, you know that I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd. I don't have any tattoos or anything like that, but it's one of those movies where Matt and I, we saw all of them in the theater together. After I was done watching the movie series in the theater, I ended up reading all of the books. And then every year at Christmas, we would watch the entire series together. So I can't even estimate. I've probably seen each movie well over 20 times. The third one was my favorite. Harry Potter has a very special place in my heart. I know it's a kid's book. I totally get it. I was older than the demographic when the books were coming out. But it's just something very special that, I had with my husband. It was something that we did together. So I really love Harry Potter. I wore my scarf there. I had a Hogwarts t-shirt. So going to see the Wizarding World of Harry Potter was just really, really awesome. And I'm so thankful that I was able to do that. We did Hogsmeade when we first got there. And, saw the little shops and everything. And then we ended up going to Hogwarts, and we did the Forbidden Journey ride, which I thought Pandora was awesome, but that Forbidden Journey just took the cake. That was amazing. It was a mix between the VR ride and animatronics. So there were Dementors and spiders, and you're flipping around, and I don't know, it was really, really crazy. Definitely the best ride that I experienced out of either park. So then we did Jurassic Park, and that was fun. I wanted to do that one back in '95 when I was, back in Universal California, but the ride was under construction. It was a brand new thing, and I remember seeing the construction area with all the bulldozers and everything, and I was thinking it was going to be an amazing ride, and I really had fun. I mean, it was short, but I can just imagine, 20-something years ago, how awesome that ride was. And then we met up with Ashley, who is Steven's former co-worker, and she actually gave us 3 passes to the park. She had employees get perks, so she has an allotted number of tickets that she can give out to people each year, so she gave us 3, so we were able to experience Universal and the Islands of Adventures for free. And that's amazing, because if she hadn't done that, we wouldn't have been able to visit Universal. And since I had so much fun at Universal, it is totally awesome that she did that. So thank you, Ashley, for doing that. Very much appreciated. We did the King Kong ride with Ashley. She's actually the manager of that ride, and that's a track ride with VR, and that was really fun. So after we hung out with her for a little bit, we ended up going on the Hogwarts Express, and we went into Diagon Alley, where we stopped at the Leaky Cauldron and had lunch. So comparatively with the food, The Leaky Cauldron was by far a better experience. Not only did it look like you were actually in the Leaky Cauldron from the movie, but the portions for the food for the price were just incredible. I ended up getting bangers and mash, which had 2 sausages with mashed potatoes, some sauerkraut, steamed vegetables, and peas. And then I got a lemon squash, which is like a kind of a lemonade. Had a different flavor to it though, but it was kind of like a lemonade. And I believe I paid $14 or $15 for all of that, which is comparable to what I paid at Disneyland for like a tiny little sandwich and chips in a bag, like a snack pack of Lay's and a can of Coke. So we all left the Leaky Cauldron like stuffed to our gills and pretty satisfied with the quality of the meal that we got. While we were in Diagon Alley, we also did Escape from Gringotts, and that was a really fun roller coaster ride. Again, it was a mix between a track ride and VR, so that was really fun. We all 3 enjoyed that one. And then we did some of the other rides on the Universal side. We did Men in Black, we did The Mummy, which I had a lot of fun on that one. We did the E.T. Experience, which is one that I wanted to do back in '95, but wasn't able to because the ride was down all day. It's a cheesy ride, but it's still fun. So then we ended up taking the Hogwarts Express back to Hogwarts, and we did the Forbidden Journey again, just to kind of cap off our day, and that was incredible, especially seeing Hogwarts lit up at night. I ended up going to the souvenir shop on the Islands of Adventure side, and I really wanted to get a Gryffindor hoodie, but I did not want to pay $75 for a hoodie, so I didn't end up getting any kind of souvenir at either theme park, which I mean I'm okay with, but it still would have been nice to get something. So after we were done with Universal, we ended up going back to Jenny and Will's, and it was pretty late by the time we got there, and I believe Will was still working, and Jenny was there, and she had bought couple bottles of wine and some beer, and so we all got into our swimsuits and we went over to the hot tub and relaxed in there with 2 girls in there that were from the complex, and we were just talking to them for about an hour or hour and a half, I'd say, while we waited for Will to show up. And it was just nice. It was so nice to like soak my feet, with those blisters. I mean, granted I was in the wheelchair all day, so I can't really say that I was on my feet all day, but still it was nice to have the hot water just kind of relaxing everything, and it was just a nice end of the day. And that was another thing that I really enjoyed was Jenny and Will's hospitality. I mean, they're 2 working people with 3 school-aged kids, and I feel like we kind of disrupted their life for a week. They were chauffeuring us around, and like Logan, the oldest nephew, gave up his bedroom so I could have a nice comfortable place to sleep. Jenny and Will gave up their bed for Drew and Steven, so we kind of just came in there like a tornado and disrupted their entire life for a week, but they never complained about it. They were always very happy and cheerful when we saw them, and they always made us feel very welcome and warm, and very happy that we had made the trip from Seattle down there to see them. So even though we were definitely imposing on them and causing chaos in their life, I'm very, very thankful that they were so hospitable and so kind to us the whole time. So on Thursday we ended up doing the photo walk with Logan, and then on Friday we met up with Jenny again, and Steven, Drew, Jenny, and I went to the nail salon, and we either got manicures or pedicures, and that was really nice to have. I got my nails done, my manicure done, so that was nice to have before the cruise. So all in all, the Florida side of the trip was really good. Both Jenny and Donna were incredibly hospitable and incredibly generous. I felt welcome right away. I tried to help out as much as I could. I tried to help make dinners and, clean up as best I could. But I felt like I was part of the family, and I'm so grateful and so thankful that you guys had me down there, and I was able to meet you guys and spend some time with you. Because it just made the trip that much better, and I really hope that you guys are able to make it up here at some point so I can kind of return the favor, and I can't wait to go back there as well and spend some more time with you guys. Well, that's all I've got for now. I've rambled on and on, I'm sure. But thank you guys for watching this and liking and commenting. And thank you for following me on all of my adventures. And I can't wait to share more with you guys in the future. So I'll see you guys later.